I'm releasing rancor, resentment, animosity. I'm releasing all that unforgiveness so that I'm actually forgiving myself. Now, that doesn't necessarily let the other person off the hook for whatever they did or didn't do or should have done or should not have done. It has nothing to do with them. It has everything to do with me.
Forgiveness, when it comes to emotions, is the greatest access to letting go. The hatred you have of a parent, the judgment you have of a coworker, the wrong-making you have towards your spouse. Like, just let go of that inner judgment, blame, and basically a victim mindset. If you can let go of that and recognize that life is actually working for you, not against you, then again, you're going to generate healing.
So now I have a really good idea how trauma, negative emotions, and subconscious beliefs can lead to disease and might be something we have to look at in order to heal. But what about the kids that come into this world already sick, or children that get sick at a really young age? Surely their condition can't be a result of accumulated stress or unprocessed trauma or disempowering beliefs. Why do they get sick?
So people ask me, what about children? You know, children, young children that come into this world with some condition, how can that be from their subconscious, or is it? And the answer to that is that we simply don't know. I just have to be honest and say that every human that emerges into this world, what has happened before we got here is different for all of us, and we have no way of knowing, and this is where we begin to cross the boundaries of science and spirituality, and the words like karma or destiny or fate. We don't know what those are. What I do know, without any shadow of a doubt, is once that beautiful child arrives in this world, their bodies, their cells, their DNA will respond to the environment and the conditions that we give to them. Our job is to learn to optimize those environments and those conditions.
Individuals come into the planet, and many of them come into the planet because they know they're going to go through some stuff, and they're coming to up-level the awareness of the species. So we don't look at it like, well, this person was born with this disease and that kid was born with that disease, you know, what's wrong? Many of these individuals are coming with very special gifts. On another level, today, a baby that's being born is affected with tremendous, more toxins than ever.
The World Health Organization's classed outdoor air pollution as carcinogenic.
When you look at so many of the cancers, for instance, we absolutely know. This is not some mystery. We know where a lot of these come from. They have to do with chemicals in the food. They have to do with chemicals in the air. They have to do with chemicals in the earth. So did human consciousness create this? Absolutely. But not necessarily the consciousness of the person who contracted the disease. If you are truly treating the earth with reverence, would you allow the level of pollution and contaminants that we allow? If you were really thinking about your children with reverence and holy responsibility to a future generation, would you allow some of the things that we allow? So, if the entire society is allowing economic forces to prevail rather than real humanitarian principles and love of the earth and love of each other and love of our children, then you get what we're getting.
Imagine for a moment popping a pill before bed that costs about $13.50. Now imagine waking up the next morning, find that the price of the exact same pill jumped to $750 overnight. That is just what happened to one drug. Meg Terrell joining us now with that story and the man who's behind that price spike. Meg.
Thank you, Brian. And Martin Scully joins us now from the NASDAQ. He's the CEO of Turing Pharmaceuticals. Martin, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Now, you guys have said that the reason you increased this price so much after acquiring the drug was in order to do the research and development to develop a better version of Daraprim. I just got off the phone with an HIV doctor who told me they don't need a better version of this drug. What do you
We have the most money going into healthcare than any country in the world today, and we have some of the worst statistics of healthcare. The problem is this. The pharmaceutical industry is a corporate industry. Corporations. What are corporations? They're systems where people invest money so they can make a profit.
I entered the pharmaceutical industry as a young scientist, and I just wanted to cure cancer.
And it turns out that most of my friends and colleagues in the pharmaceutical industry, all the scientists, they also just want to, a lot of them cure cancer. They want to save lives. It's only when you get higher up in the company that the goals begin to change.
Martin, we do appreciate you coming. I got to ask you one more question. In response to all of this attention and doctors and patient groups saying they can't access this drug, are you going to change the price?
No.
So in my examination of pharmaceutical products in general, I began to notice a pattern. And the pattern is that we are told that there's a problem, and the problem may not actually exist, at least not in the way that we're told that it does. And then we're offered a product based on resolution of the fear inspired by awareness of this problem.
Sleep. Remember when it welcomed you like a friend? Then it became more elusive. But why? When you have insomnia, it may affect the wake neurotransmitters in your brain, disrupting your wake and sleep messages.
And in fact, if you follow and dig into the literature, what you'll find is that the very product that's offered to solve the problem actually creates and perpetuates the problem it purports to resolve.
Hallucinations. The temporary inability to move while falling asleep or waking up and temporary leg weakness have also been reported. In depressed patients, worsening depression, including risk of suicide, may occur. Alcohol may increase these risks. Side effects include next-day drowsiness.
Pharmaceutical industry looks at the destination that it wants to fix and ignores the fact that when you add a drug, there are multiple drug interactions, which are not side effects, but direct effects.
So we have that, and then we have to look at the efficacy, right? Do these meds actually work? Could those risks be worth it? And that evidence is really even more concerning because we have a body of evidence that suggests that these medications are no better than a placebo. Placebo, of course, which wouldn't incur, those same risks. And then there's the bigger question of what are you opting out of when you choose to manage your symptoms in this way? There's a story I really love, which, talks about a caterpillar that's in the chrysalis, right? And it's struggling to get out. And there's this little hole in the chrysalis. And there's a man nearby. And he sort of feels bad for the caterpillar. It's trying to get out, right? So he takes a pair of scissors and he snips the chrysalis. And of course, the caterpillar turns into a butterfly that dies, that never can fly, right? Because it needs to go through the process of emergence and struggle. Literally, it physically needs to do that to be able to manifest.